There's this entire world that's always in motion, but almost none of us ever get to see it. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and go inside a locomotive shed. We're going to see the massive, non-stop operation that keeps our trains, well, on the tracks. Yeah, this is it. This is the world I'm talking about. It's a place most of us will never step foot in, a massive workshop, and it's filled with what look like the giant skeletons of the railway. And in here, there's a hidden army, right? Engineers, technicians, all working around the clock with just one mission: to maintain, repair, and get these massive engines back out there. Okay, so here's how we're going to walk through a typical day at the shed. We'll start with the morning report, then we'll decode their logbooks, check out what a breakdown looks like, try to navigate the maintenance maze, look at the big picture, and finally wrap up with the never-ending shift. So you might think the day starts with the clank of a wrench, right? Nope. It actually starts with data. Before anyone picks up a tool, the managers need to get a complete picture of every single locomotive they're responsible for. And trust me, that is a massive, massive logistical challenge. And this is it. This is the Loco's position report for the morning. It's basically a real-time inventory of these giants. It tells you everything: which ones are in for a major heavy schedule overhaul, which are getting a light schedule touch-up, and which ones are the ready locos, all polished up and waiting for their next assignment. And you better believe performance is tracked constantly. This chart here, the shed outage, is all about one thing: how many locomotives are ready for service compared to their daily target. And look at this. The target was 104, but they actually hit 106. That's a big deal. Every single engine they get out there above that target means more capacity and fewer delays on the network. Okay, so to really understand what's going on here, you've got to learn the language. And it really is like its own language, a super dense dialect of acronyms and technical codes. I mean, they take these incredibly complex ideas and just boil them down to a few letters. So check this out. This really shows you the two sides of the same coin. Over on the left, you've got a real deal handwritten logbook, right? Just full of raw notes from someone actually looking at the engine. And then on the right, you see how that messy real-world data gets turned into a clean, formal list of pending modifications. Every little scribble becomes an official task that has to be tracked and completed. All right, let's start with the absolute basic one: Loco. It's just short for locomotive, the heart and soul of the railway. This is the powerhouse that's pulling thousands of tons all over the country. Okay, next up, you're going to see these two all over the place in the logs: TOH and IOH. That's trip overhaul and intermediate overhaul. The best way to think about it is like a huge service for your car, like the 100,000-mile one, except this is for a machine that is just infinitely more complex and way, way more powerful. And just one more for now: Panto, short for pantograph. Now, for an electric loco, this thing is everything. It's its lifeline. It's that zigzag arm on the roof that reaches up and touches the power lines. If something goes wrong with the Panto, well, that loco is completely dead in the water. Game over. So all that scheduled maintenance is one thing, right? That's the planned stuff. But the real day-to-day of the shed, it's dealing with a constant, totally unpredictable flood of problems being radioed in from trains that are out there on the move right now. And here's a perfect example: a classic driver's fault report. The problems can be anything, from something kind of mundane like AC not working, to something really concerning like heavy spark from Panto. For the crew back at the shed, every single one of these items is a clue. It's a puzzle they have to piece together and solve fast. And it's not just the drivers. Urgent messages are pouring in from the main control room too. Get this: compressor oil is below the minimum mark. Now, that sounds like a simple problem, right? Just top it off. But if they don't deal with it immediately, it could lead to a total catastrophic failure. Of course, everything is also tracked digitally. This is an abnormality report for one specific loco, and it logs everything, from a side wiper that's not working right to a broken display screen. No detail is too small. Every single fault gets recorded, and it stays in the system until somebody signs off that it's been fixed. So you've got all these problems coming in from every direction. How on earth do they get fixed? Well, this is where we leave the reports and the computer screens behind and head into what I like to call the maintenance maze, the actual, physical, hands-on work on the workshop floor. Remember that low oil warning we just saw? Let's follow it through. So the problem gets reported by control, and then, just a little while later, the shed messages back: "Sir, CP3 oil topped up." Boom. Problem, action, confirmation.
It's this super efficient little communication loop, and it happens over and over again all day long.
And the work itself? Wow. It's like a journey into this crazy complex mechanical beast. Just look at that dense maze of pipes and valves and wiring inside one of these things. Trying to trace a single problem through that labyrinth, it takes some serious skill and a ton of experience. I mean, one wrong move, one wrong connection, and this 100-ton machine goes completely silent.
The word maintenance here means more than just fixing the trains. It's about the whole operation. Check out this message. Someone is complaining that they can't do demolition work on a wall because a bunch of traction motors have been left right in the way of their excavator. It's this constant logistical puzzle. They're not just managing the locos, they're managing all the space and all the equipment around them too.
Okay, let's zoom out for a second. We've been down on the workshop floor, but holding all of that physical work together is this huge administrative machine. We're talking about a whole system that handles everything from ordering parts to making schedules and managing all the people. And the planning is just relentless. This is a message telling engineers they need to get their proposals in for the spare parts budget. But listen to this. They're being asked to predict what parts they're going to need 2 to 3 years from now. Can you imagine? They have to think that far ahead just to make sure the supply chain doesn't break down. And here again, you see that mix of old school and new school. You've got the handwritten logbooks, but you've also got powerful digital tools, like this asset management dashboard. It's basically a master grid that's tracking every single maintenance task for every single locomotive. The colors show the status of each job, so a manager can just glance at it and get a perfect high-level view of everything that's happening.
But in the middle of all this high-stakes, super technical work, you still get some very human, very relatable pressure. These are the instructions for an upcoming VIP visit. And some of my favorites are no scrap behind cupboards, and the all-time classic, staff should not be found sitting idle or on their mobile phones. Yep, no matter where you work, that one's pretty universal, isn't it?
So as our day in the life starts to wrap up, the one thing you have to understand is that the work itself, it never actually stops. The lights in the shed never go out. It's just a continuous 24/7 cycle. A logo comes in broken, gets repaired, gets sent out, and another one takes its place. So the next time you're standing on a platform and you feel that rumble of a train coming in, just take a second and remember what we saw today. Remember that there's this vast, mostly invisible, and incredibly complex operation that's been working around the clock just to make your trip possible. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other hidden systems like this are out there, humming along just out of sight, powering our everyday lives?